So we're going to invite everyone to just go ahead, get in a nice posture, and we're going to go through a loving kindness just for self. We're going to focus there first and go through first stage here. So let the bell just be an invitation. It's always an invitation. The invitation to let go of the busyness of the mind. The invitation to let go of any worries or concerns. The invitation to give yourself permission to have some time for yourself. An invitation to come home. And let your awareness just descend into your body. Just taking a few moments to ground. Becoming aware of the contact with the floor, cushion, chair. Wherever there's contact, there's solidity. That's where we want to rest. We want to ground. Just like silt coming to rest at the bottom of a lake. Resting your awareness in the solidity of your body. And if you feel any tension in your body, just take a few moments to relax and release it. I like to focus on my exhale and let that be a release, a letting go of any tension, any mental activity, any planning. The exhale, just letting it go. And now let us cultivate the thought. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. And here it's valuable to take a few moments to let a warmth of loving kindness emanate from your heart, filling your whole body with the warmth of loving kindness. And with it comes a feeling of being loved, cared for, feeling safe, feeling accepted, and feeling lovable. Give yourself permission to feel this warmth of loving kindness. Let go of any barriers. Let us now cultivate the thought. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be peaceful and at ease. And here, take an opportunity to let go of any stress, any worries, any fears, any concerns. Allow ourselves to feel some peace and ease, some serenity, a respite from the normal busyness of the mind. And here I do like to focus, as I mentioned before, on the exhale. And with the exhale, I see all my worries exiting my body. With each exhale, my body relaxes a bit, and peace and ease settles in. Allow some serenity. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Simply be at peace and ease. May I be healthy. May I be well. And here we can bring our attention to the breath, the intake of the breath that gives us life. Becoming aware of the life force that comes with the breath, that enters your body, and it revitalizes you, strengthens your immune system. Be aware of this breath, the breath of life, and feel its vibrancy in your body. Now, a little time on the exhale. And with the exhale, we can let go of any ailments, any physical pain. You see that leaving our body. It's like an exhaust out of a car. No longer have it. Now let's put the two together. The thought, may I be healthy, may I be well. May my immune system be strong, capable of fighting off any disease. Becoming aware of the breath as it enters, as it nourishes you, strengthens you. And the exhale, letting go any ailments, pain. Now let us cultivate the thought. May I be happy. May I be genuinely happy. May I know the happiness that arises from knowing that I am worthy, I am valuable, I'm capable. That my life is meaningful, and that I have much to offer the world. Allow yourself to feel this value. You are capable. You are valuable. Your life is meaningful. And let us take a moment to wish each other loving kindness. All of us here, whether we're online or in the room, let's extend this loving kindness to each other. From your own heart, wishing each of us to be filled with loving kindness. To know that they are loved, they are cared for, they're accepted, and they are lovable. And I invite you to receive the love being offered to you by everyone else. Allow yourself to feel loved, cared for, accepted, and lovable. And when you're ready, just bring your awareness forward. No hurries, no worries. Nice to maintain that wonderful state of being. Ah. So it's good stuff, huh? Yeah. Yeah, so let me just check in and see how that went for anyone. And might have been some struggles actually. Might have been just easy going. If you're online, you'll have to unmute. I can see it. We got someone. Carla.
I guess I'll just testify that when I first did this practice years ago, I really struggled with loving kindness for myself. And with continued practice over the years, it's become so much easier. And I feel like I can, project that same loving kindness out into the world so much easier. So it's just a what do I call it? A testimonial that it's powerful stuff.
Thanks, Carla. So I don't know where John went. He's not showing up on my screen. Okay. Just a blank black hole. Is everyone else seeing him?
Yeah, Rita, I'm also having trouble seeing his video. He
Okay.
must be having some technical difficulties.
What's happening is my camera's going in and out, but I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I appreciate what Carla said, and I want to share that I'm struggling internally with rumination about a conversation that I have to have. And this really helped me so much. And especially, to remember to dwell in this for me and for the other person, and in loving kindness. And especially the perspective that you said in the first hour about may I be filled with loving kindness. I never really thought about that as, I thought about loving kindness to myself, but I never really thought about that particular piece of it as may I be filled with loving kindness for, I realize my video's off too. May I be filled with loving kindness for all others. And so hearing that phrase in that context was a bit of an opener for me. As opposed to just thinking, may I be filled with loving kindness for myself, but may I be filled with loving kindness for everyone else, stretched my perspective on that. And so I just found this meditation really timely and helpful for me. So thanks.
Thanks, Rita. All right, if you do have a thought that pops up, you can chime in. But we're getting to, I think, the core root of things, and there needs to be a foundation to really get the maximum benefit out of this practice. On one level, it seems very straightforward, but if we really get that context of interdependence of, the real sources of joy and the real sources of suffering. And I love this question. It was by one of my teachers. He had said, what would your life be like if you were just totally free of any anxiety whatsoever? How would your life be different? How would your interactions with others be different? What would that be like? And I think, wow, some people came, what? There was no stress, there was no anxiety, there was no nervousness. There was just, you knew you're okay and you knew this thing's okay and you just be there, and all your messiness or skillfulness, that you're all right, you're valuable, it's good. And he poses that. And I think that's an important question to ask ourselves. I brought that up when I was speaking at a big conference for therapists and stuff, and some of them actually got pretty nervous about the idea of not being nervous. Like we need this in some way, and so this is getting to that space of knowing that you're okay. And this is all going to be okay. That we're a part of something. We're not the center of it. We're not in charge of it. And, life's a messy place. There's going to be some things that go my way, some things not go the way I want. I'm going to have illness. I'm going to have injury. I'm going to have some joy. It's going to have some good relationships. Going to have some not so good relationships. It's the way the world is. And we're going to find that the stress, the anxiety, and all of that is, and I have yet to find it any other place. So if you do, let me know. It's because I'm attached to an outcome, right? It's pretty hard to have stress if you're not attached to an outcome, right? What I'm stressed about is I want something to go this way and I don't want it to go that way. Or even a past outcome. I'm still carrying that with me because I wanted it to be different than it is, right? And what if I didn't have to worry about outcomes? By the way, you don't. Matter of fact, it doesn't even make sense to. So Harvard research guy, there's a TED Talk. Daniel Gilbert, took me a minute to get his name. I was trying to pull it up. He does the whole science of happiness, all this research on happiness. There's a lot of other people doing stuff on. Sonia Lubomirsky, she does a lot of things on the science of happiness. But what gives us self-worth of lasting happiness, of well-being, it's not how the events turn out. Like we really think, if my house gets, like this tornado, right? We just had 24 tornadoes in 5 counties, a lot of people, a lot of damage, right? Horrific things happen in this world. We have, car accidents, we have people that we lose. And what his research showed was when you go through things like losing a house in a tornado, divorce, lots of traumatic events and instances that can happen in life. Even the good stuff, right? I get my college degree, I won this award, I accomplished this thing. 3 months after that event, in most cases, unless there's trauma, right? Trauma, that's a different thing. Unless there's trauma, your level of happiness is about the same. Hasn't changed. Significant events, major events. And what that's reminding us is that you have all been through horrific events, right? We all have. And we've also been through wonderful events. But our kind of homeostasis, our sort of level, this is the kind of, some people are a little perkier than others. I'm a little perky, didn't used to be. But some people are a little more, pessimistic. I used to be pretty pessimistic. But, you know, it's kind of the nature, you know, there's, you know, Jimmy's kind of crotchety guy. And there's, you know, so-and-so is always kind of, you need a cup of coffee just before you talk to them because, you know, they're going to be like, hey, how you doing? But, you know, that's kind of how you are, like most of the time. Like you have a good event and you're happy, and then you come back to how you are. And then you have a terrible event and you kind of come back to how you are. And so your level of well-being on average doesn't really change that much day to day. You kind of come back to, you know, kind of personality or quality that you have. But we keep trying to get those events, right? And they don't last, you know, it's, you know, the vacation of a lifetime, and it's, you know, it's Tuesday, you know, and then I got other things to worry about and get caught up in. And then, you know, what were you so worked up or anxious about last Tuesday? You know, I can't remember today, but it was a big deal then. I was in a hurry and they're in my way or whatever. And our mind keeps doing that. Our mind keeps going, this needs to happen. I need to get this done today. That, you know, and this will be terrible if this happens. And then that day comes and goes, and then it's Tuesday. And then I got a whole bunch of other stuff. And what I don't even realize is that I have done all those things. I've lived through trauma. I've lived through difficult things. I've lived through great things. I've had wonderful experience. I've had more joy than I can imagine. Deli 6 restaurant in Highland Village out in Texas. A lot of joy there. Yeah. So we can have these nice moments, right? But they come and go. But it's not the meal. It's, you know, who I got to sit with at the meal. It's who I got to share a meal with. It's thinking about the people that, you know, shared the meal with us, that brought it, that, you know, how things turn out isn't where your happiness is going to come from. Again, it's going to come always back to how you participated with the event. And the critical piece there is I actually have some control over that. I don't have control over this. And that's where all my stress, worry, and fear is. Trying to control things I don't have any control over. Trying to make things permanent that aren't permanent. Nothing's permanent. Your job, your relationship, the car, the, you know, the town, it's all going to change. People always do that. I'm smiling because people always say, Carbondale's not like it used to be. Yeah, it probably changed. I don't say it out loud because that would not endear me to anyone. But, you know, our mind is where the source of the suffering is coming from, but it's our mind in discord with reality. Really believing that if this or that happened, then I would be happy and it would all be good. And so his research showed that with very few exceptions, you know, 3 months later, it just major events, you know, and even joyful ones. And so if we get that with loving kindness, I can start to understand the real sources of well-being, which is engaging with the world out of a place of compassion, of wisdom, right? Wise compassion, not enabling, not okaying things that are not okay. But can you all hear me on this microphone? Okay, it's not as good, but you can hear me. All right, I'm going to switch cameras at the next break, but I think I look a lot better right now. Face for radio. So the opportunity is to really start to understand true sources of well-being. We're going to have difficult events. That's the way it is. We're going to have wonderful events. That's the way it is. What sticks, though, is how we participate in them. Do I feel good about how I showed up? Because it comes back to a very simple thing. You feel good about when you do good. And you don't feel so good about when you don't. And that sticks with you. All the other stuff comes and goes. And so the exaggerated qualities that we put on people, places, things, and events is actually the source of our suffering, not the event. It's how I'm dealing with it. And so there's a real opportunity to examine my mind and kind of notice where I exaggerate this and if I come from then that understanding, when I'm wishing loving kindness for people, may you have loving kindness and may you have the causes of loving kindness. May you be happy, may you be well. Well, we would say that the causes of that is virtuous activity, right? It's wholesome activity. It's things you feel good about. It's good ethics. So from a Buddhist perspective, karmically, you look at the conditions that give ripen to a stable mind, skillful interactions, resiliency, conditions to really excel in any particular practice. You need what we call merit. You need the conditions. You need the attributes and the qualities. Now, stepping away from a Buddhist karmic view, you start to look at, again, a Western psychological view. I'm not going to be a very good meditator if I don't feel good about who I am. I'm not going to, how I am living my life when I'm not on a cushion is going to have an impact on my cushion. Being on a cushion where I can take some time to develop some stability can allow me to water and nurture the mental states. And the way we phrase loving kindness, it's a state of being, not so much a mental state, it's a state of being of loving kindness. Then I can bring that into the world. Now I'm going to have much less, I'm going to have a little more patience. I'm going to interact. There's a little barrier between being triggered and my response. I'm coming at, when you deal with anyone and you just see them, when you first see them like they're like, it gives you a little room there, before they do something that, trigger you. And so there's a buffer. So there's this really nice way of kind of bringing that. And so the practice in a daily life, they'll teach you a lot, is just cultivating that thought when you come in contact with anyone. May be well, may be happy, just having their best interest. Because loving kindness is about friendliness. Okay, it's about friendliness. It's about an understanding of our connection. It's trying to see everyone as an old dear friend. Right? We don't always like our old dear friends. Right? But it's Jimmy. I can work with him. And so having that kind of state of mind when you see anyone and having that way of being with them, what's really shocking is it changes the interaction with them. Right? They interact with you very differently, and so we feel what it's like to be tense in a room, right? We also feel what it's like to be loved and accepted in a room. You probably felt the loving kindness in this room and even online, right? It's palpable. And so when somebody welcomes you, and that's the thing about the Dalai Lama, like you're around that guy, you're just, your mind shuts down, you're blown away. Can barely remember what what did he tell you? I don't know. And I mean, even seasoned, I had a monk who was the administrator of our center. He just became the administrator to meet with His Holiness, ask him these questions. And he goes in there and he's sitting there talking to him. He goes, I totally forgot what I was supposed to say. He goes, but thank God I wrote it down. Like, so we could, right now. But people share that kind of experience when you're around. It's not just Dalai Lama, you feel with other people, right? That really loving person. There's a Catholic priest, Father Cassidy, at my mom's church. He's a meditator, centering prayer guy. Of the nature of Father Keating. This guy, you just want to rub up on him, let me hang out with you. And, he just had that, and it's palpable. So it also has an impact with others. And so where I'm getting at is if we can cultivate a state of calm and ease and knowing that we're okay, it's really going to impact how we work with anyone. Just sitting and you being calm and at ease and holding space with someone. It's amazing the impact it can have. I just came from just an adolescent program. You just sit in a circle with them with that love just coming out. You just, we're all okay. We're all right. You're not broken. We're not broken. This thing called life's a messy thing. We're all right. And having that way of being. But cultivating that way of being takes a little practice. And so this practice of loving kindness, if we can understand the foundational piece of equanimity and interdependence and that we're a part of something instead of the center of it, trying to navigate and get everyone to do what I would like. We're going to be a lot happier. We're going to be a lot more effective. And we're going to realize that other people have their own journey, and they may actually be able to teach me something instead of me teaching them how it is. So foundational, as we enter into a loving kindness practice, taking some time to recognize this state of interdependence of wisdom, just the way the world is and where happiness comes from, then I start to realize that I actually have control over the single most determinant factor of my happiness, which is how I show up for events. It's not how they turn out. And there's really nothing to worry about then, except I might screw up from time to time. But then that's a learning lesson. Okay, I got a lesson plan. John, you didn't do that very well. What would your mind be like then? What I got to worry about. Now, us understanding that intellectually, as we talked about earlier, doesn't make it so. Believe it or not, after this, you might still worry a little bit. Could happen, just a bit, smidgen. But if we start taking some time to reacclimate ourselves to the way things are in the morning, taking a little time to remember that we're all in this journey together. And this one of the muscles of resiliency is gratitude. Taking some time to really recognize all this, seeing the value in how other people give you the life that you have. Then it's going to be a lot easier to bring some loving kindness to them. Right? That annoying customer at work's the reason I have a job, and they're teaching me about my mind. That's the other piece there. Is I can think I'm a pretty loving, kind person, then put someone really annoying and malicious in front of me. Wow, that loving kindness went out the window. So they're showing me my mind, because I'm in our lineage. They'll say they're your teachers, right? And one of our Mark Maloney in Australia, he sat down with Matthew Ricard. Matthew Ricard's like he's this monk they call the happiest man in the world. And Matthew says to him, "How's your loving kindness practice?" He goes, "It's going great." He goes, "Yeah, how's it with the people you don't like?" And Mark's like, "Oh, well, there is this one guy." He goes, "Yeah, well, that's your practice." And there's a whole story that goes with that. But he hasn't really embraced him like him, but he actually saved his life once. He was his neighbor, and actually had to pick him up and carry him. He had fallen over with a stroke and all that. Carried him in and was able to do that for him. And the guy really appreciates who he is now. So, you can heal relationships. So foundationally, though, if I understand that, then it's going to be a lot easier to go to our next levels. Okay? So we're coming with ourselves, then we're going to bring some people like, some people that we more neutral about, make them real to us, and then we're going to bring to mind some people that we're challenged by. And the introduction here is always that we don't bring to mind the people we hate the most first off. Okay? First time I ever led a metta, I was a monk. I was a young monk, and we were on tour and leave metta. It's like the first thing I did, bring up the people you hate the most. Let's do this. Didn't go well. Did not go well. My teachers had to say, you do it like this. So we might start with some people that, we kind of have some feelings about, and then we bring them to mind. But we start with ourselves. So in our, where we're going to wrap with this will be the same practice we just did. We're going to start with self. And then we're going to bring to mind some people that we like, that might need some help. And it's nice to think about people helping. I have some friends that, just lost a loved one, or some people in the hospital, and bring them to mind. And then, bring that out and wish them, and we'll go through the same types of experiences. And then bring to mind some strangers, some people we're kind of neutral about, we don't know very well. And And what's nice about that is it brings them as real people in our lives. It's brings them alive to us. And then we bring to mind some people that we don't like so much. And then we kind of just think about everybody. And you can bring in animals, just all beings, and you want them to be well. And then back to us. And so it's a really beautiful practice. I've actually already recorded it, so I'm able to get a recording of it, one for self and one for everyone. That'd be nice. And the thing is, if I were to do this practice every day, what would your life be like? I think that's really important. I told somebody once, you're traveling, say it was Telluride. I said, do this for 6 months, whatever. Your life won't be the same. Which, by the way, is an easy set because your life won't be the same in 6 months anyway. It's so easy that's a guarantee you can just bank on. But I know I meant it that your heart and mind would change. And she did. It was like 6 months later, the universe becomes very different. Our interactions with others become very different. Your ability to work with people becomes very different. But that's one thing. But where we really want to get to is knowing you're okay. So that part gets missed out, I think, a lot. Is when we're going to loving kindness, it's getting to the place to know you're okay. You're all right, you're not broken. We are never stuck. We're not a prisoner of our genetics. We're not a prisoner of any of that, of our past. And again, research today has shown that even our gene expression, we can dial up and dial down. So even though I have genes for certain things, potentials to be there, they don't have to manifest. I can actually, by the way I live my life, by the foods I eat, by my interactions, by all that, dial up and down gene expression. They have research to show just on meditators watching gene expression change in an 8-hour meditation from full-on meditators. And so there's nothing about us that's fixed, unchangeable, and that we're always becoming. We're always becoming something. Every breath we take, we're becoming something. And so here we have an opportunity to water the seeds we want to grow, that we can become a person that knows that I'm okay. I got, I had a friend says, I'm in the biggest room in the world, the room for improvement. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay. I'm enough as I am. And that my life lessons will show up. But everybody's got them, right? Everyone's got them. And so coming from that place, knowing you're okay, that's really at the core. And when you're okay, you can bring that to other people. And so it might be working first, just noticing how it changes your interactions with others. I've walked into very hostile situations, and I don't have to be clever or interesting. You walk in with a different energy. It's amazing how you can de-escalate a situation. And it's very palpable. So just knowing that we're okay, knowing that that person's valuable. People know if you think they're an idiot or if you think they're valuable, you know what I mean? It's a different way of looking at someone. Eye rolls get you in trouble. Learn that lesson. But clear, attentive, letting people know they're valuable, giving them your attention, hearing them, and not waiting for them to finish. I still get in trouble with that one. Working on the patience bit. And so it starts though with us, and so that's why we spend a lot of time. So when we come back from break, we're going to go through this again with ourselves. Then we're going to bring it out. But once you have the flavor with yourself, it's so much quicker you can bring it to others. So what we do is we bring others to mind now. And what I like to do is I like to just bring to mind, certain people, and then just bring it to them. And then it's this practice that we can grow. All right. So let me pause there and just see. I'm on the break, gonna switch cameras. So so y'all can see me. And I think the mic will be better too. Anyone out there have any questions, either physically here or online, thoughts, curiosities? What I like is, Marcus, unmute yourself, brother. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Wonderful to see you, Brother John. Wonderful to be present with everyone here. Really, really enjoying this. I didn't have a question per se, but so much of this is nourishing for me. That's what's showing up for me. That it's very nourishing. But there were 3 points, John, in your last sharing that stood out. One was loving kindness is about friendliness. That really resonated with me. And the other one was the conversation when you were talking about Mark's experience in Australia. You know, so many times the frustrations show up, and to be able to have a presence of mind to change the narrative and say, instead of saying that person is annoying or that person got the best of me, to be able to say, there's my teacher. That is such a powerful mental shift. And the last one is just the awareness that every breath I am becoming something. I just found those to be powerful. Just want to say thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What a great synopsis on key points. All right. Thanks, brother.
I'd like to add to what he said too, with being a teacher, being a parent, and having a teenager at home, and shifting that, like, oh, instead of she's testing my patience, like, oh, what is she teaching me today? You know, having that shift of trying not to get triggered or angry or emotional, but like, oh, what lesson am I learning?
Yeah, powerful. Those of you online may not have heard that. Just the idea of even with a teenager, I raised a couple. You know, are they testing my patience, or what can I learn from them? You know, so really, our teachers come in many forms. I taught high school. Oh yeah, we're not going to argue because you're the only one who's going to have any fun. Yeah. What are we learning? Brenda.
Good morning, John. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come together this morning in loving kindness. This is exactly what I needed. And so I think somebody said this is nourishing, and I so agree with that. It's a good reminder for me to bring the spirit of compassion and loving kindness into everything that I do. So thank you so much.
Oh, so glad. Good to see you, Brenda.
Good to see you too, John.
Yeah. And Keith.
Good morning, John. Thank you for this wonderful teaching and time together. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I just wanted to piggyback on, the difficult people are our teachers. And I like to focus too on people that are exhibiting a lot of loving kindness. And they are my great teachers too. I've done a lot of flying lately, for example, and some of these flight attendants, believe it or not, I found so much loving kindness with them towards so many people in these planes. And I get to notice that. I get to feel the ripple effect of that. I get to be curious about how is it they can do that in the face of mass humanity on these planes in oftentimes less than ideal situations. So the people who are my teachers as well. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. So important to remember, to see the goodness in others. It's, as you're pointing out, it's so easy to take that for granted, right? And because it's actually quite the norm. We forget that people are kind. That's the norm. And what makes things stick out is anger and stuff because it's not the norm. And yet that's what we keep focusing on. And so such a value, Keith, I am so glad you brought that up, to really make that a practice of seeing the goodness in others and all around you. Thank you, Keith. Okay, well, we're going to take a 10-minute break and I'm going to get another camera.
So